I'm out in the shop right now, but I'm about to leave and go fish this afternoon. The morning was not supposed to be that great, but the afternoon I may actually get light winds for a change. So I wanted to talk to you a second before I leave about, I guess, brand loyalty, something we don't have much of now. And there's some pretty good reasons for that. Everything nowadays is made to be somewhat diversified, meaning that the products come from so many sources, you know, the parts come from so many sources. Everything's just, you know, made somewhat cheaply, and not only diversified, but actually disposable. We live in a disposable society, so that's just the way it is. But when I started my channel, I didn't really want a lifestyle channel. I didn't want to be showing you footage of me riding a motorcycle or feeding chickens or running a chainsaw or any of that. I just wanted it to be more about, you know, being in the woods or on the water or whatever. And so far so good. I still don't have a clue what I'm doing, but it's fun. But anyway, if I have a product that I am particularly disgusted with, I thought I would share it with you. And then if I have some that I really like, I thought I would share those with you too. Of course, this is stuff that's hunting and fishing related. Like most of you guys, I've owned a bunch of stuff over the years, good and bad. And some of it I bought, some of it I received as gifts, you know. But I'm a cheapskate, so I buy off season, I buy clearance, I buy when stuff is on sale. I'm not afraid to buy used stuff. So anyway, I've owned 3 outboard motors in my life. First one was given to me after my grandfather died. It was an old Evinrude 2-stroke. When it died, I bought a Johnson 2-stroke, and then when I got another boat, I got a Mercury 4-stroke. So I can't give you any advice about outboard motors, because comparing those 3 would be like comparing apples to oranges. But I've had great memories with all of them. Now, as far as hunting stuff goes, I've had a bunch of guns, some that I purchased, some were given to me, rifles and handguns and shotguns. But I've owned Browning, I've owned Remington, Marlin, Winchester. I've owned SIG, Smith & Wesson, you know, all types of brands. And so far, I have never had one that I was disgusted with. I've been pretty satisfied with most of what I've owned. And I know some people will just disagree and say, no, you got to have this particular shotgun or this particular rifle. I get it, but whatever. You know, remember this: most of the time, the people that are on the television shows or the podcast or the big time influencers, most of them, they're just salesmen, really, in a lot of ways. And some of them will admit that. And if you go back and you look at some of the big names in the outdoors industry, and you go back and look at their old videos, you'll see they've graduated to different classes of weapons and all that stuff. I think most of the long gun manufacturers make good products. You may have to spend some money to get the higher end products if you want that. But anyway, for me, I'm only going to tell you about things that I've owned. So with that being said, let's talk about fishing rods. I started out in the old days with, when I first started tight line trolling, spider rigging. I started out with flimsy little Shakespeare crappie hunters because they were cheap. And I started out with those, and I caught a lot of fish. But let me tell you, these things would never have pulled in the catfish that I caught the other day. It would have broken this rod. These rods are so limber, so flimsy. It would have never had a chance. But I started with those. Then I eventually graduated to some long rods. When we got really serious about spider rigging, I graduated to a lot of the B&M rods. I have some Black Widows and I have some slow trollers that I've had, oh my goodness, 25 years plus, I guess. I don't know how long I've had them. Used those for years and years. Also had some, these right here were tournament choice rods that were made for Academy Sports way back when. They were Tournament Choice was the brand. I think that they probably own that brand. Those are obsolete. You can't get those anymore. They were just 2-piece rods, and I've got various lengths. I've got them out to 16 foot, all the way from probably 10. So for some reason my camera cut out on me. I guess it didn't like what I was saying. Anyway, I'm holding this crazy selfie stick, and like I said, I'm still learning. But I just finished showing you guys some of the long rods that we use when we're spider rigging and stuff. And but now that I've had granddaughters, I've got more into long lining. And so I had to say, every B&M pole that I've had, I've been satisfied with. Pretty much. I have a long pole here that is this one is a B&M Sam's super sensitive jig pole. And I use that if I just want to dip straight down. I think it's 9.2. It's just a little neat little rod. And I use that if I'm just reaching out somewhere, you know, if somebody's using a live scope, or if I'm just reaching up in the shallows, I'll use it. But now let's talk about some rods for long lining. For years, I used these 2-piece Daiwa Samurai combos right here. They came with either blue or silver rods, and then they came with these type of reels right here. This is a Daiwa Samurai reel, and they worked pretty well. This one is actually on a Shakespeare rod. I probably broke the other rod or broke the eyes on it or something, but anyway, the 2-piece rods were fine. I prefer a 1-piece. I don't know, it just seems like you feel everything so much better. So I'd like the 1-piece when I can get away with them. So I used those for years. Those were good. They no longer make them. I can't find them anywhere if they do make them. But I caught a lot of fish with those. And those were Daiwa Samurais. They were relatively cheap. Now, yes, in some cases you do get what you pay for, but in some cases you're just paying for a name. So, you know, I'm just gonna give you my opinion. All right, here, this is a Mr. Crappie Thunder 2-piece rod right here, and it is a good one, and I really like it. It works well. As far as 2-piece rods go, it's good. It's a little bit longer than the old Samurai rods were. This one is 6.6, which is a pretty good length. But the one thing I don't like about it is Mr. Crappie, Wally Marshall, is the king, man. He's the man, right? But this nice rod, it has no hook keeper on it. You have to hook your jig up on one of the eyes. There's not a hook keeper. So that's a little thing, maybe petty, but that's something I don't like. The other day, I caught that big catfish. If you saw that video, I caught a catfish. It was almost 20 pounds. And this was on a Crappie Max rod from Bass Pro. Now, I'm not sponsored by Bass Pro or Cabela's or whatever. And in fact, I can go to a Bass Pro shop right now and have no issues, but I can go to another one within an hour from where I live, and I wouldn't trust them to change the oil in my boat motor. So sometimes it comes down to what kind of dealings you've had with a place and the personal staff that they have. But this particular rod, Crappie Max rod, I've owned these for a couple of years, and they run about $40 a pop. So for the poor boy that's going to be shopping, you know, on sales everywhere, Walmart and Amazon and whatever, online and Academy or whatever, 40 bucks might be a little steep. Now some of you people it doesn't bother you. You'll pay $200 for a bass rod. But a lot of people I know won't pay $40 for a crappie rod, a light action crappie rod. And because, you know, kids are going to be using them a lot of times. It's easy to break the eyes on them and stuff. But in this particular case, this is a one piece, and it is built very well, laid out very well. Some of you won't like the fact that it's manufactured in Vietnam. I can tell you that. But for my purposes, I can vouch for this. This is a Crappie Max Pro. It's usually about 40 bucks. If you can wait till they have their big crappie sale in the springtime, they'll usually knock 20% off. So I got these rods for $31.98. Just the rod now. And then the reels that are on them are nothing fancy at all. These are just little Cast King reels, and they're nothing special. Kind of cheap. Got them on sale as well. All right, so I can't tell you a particular brand of reel that I really brag about. If you want a good one-piece rod, I can tell you to go with the Crappie Max. Maybe buy you one or two a year, you know, or buy one and try it, see what you think. That one was a 6.6. I've also got a couple 5'6" ones for shooting docks, and they're pretty neat. But you know, I buy a lot of cheap combos for crappie fishing. I've got some Pflueger reels that I bought on sale. Came with nice little, they were combos. They came with a nice little rod, and they were really good. So, you know, I've got a real, I guess you'd say, hodgepodge of equipment, you know. Here's a reel that I've had for at least 20 years. And you see right now, I don't even have it on a rod. I've got it just as a backup, you know, as needed if something happens to a reel. But this is a Shimano, and I honestly can't tell you where I bought it. I just bought it on sale somewhere one time, you know. So back in the day when things were built to last, I, like everyone else, grew up fishing some saltwater, and you know, we all wanted, let's see if I can get in here and get one, show you. Back in the day, we all wanted Abu Garcia reels. Let's see here, I got one right here. We all wanted Abu Garcia reels that were made in Sweden. That was the ticket. See right here, if you see the little emblem on the side of it, the little coat of arms. And that's what everybody wanted back in the day. So, you know, if I was going to say, get you some good retro stuff, let's see, let me walk back out here. If I was going to say, let's get some good retro stuff, I might say, let's go back down the lane of the old Garcia Ambassador. This one has a thumb bar. A lot of them back in the day, all they had was a push button on the side here that was metal, but they were crafted with good components, built to last. And I've got a few of those. Some I bought, some I inherited, and they were good. But the problem is, with the comfort level that everybody desires, now everybody has gone to the low profile style bait casters. So most people don't use the big bulky Garcias anymore. This is a Garcia reel. but it's a Black Max, several years old, but it's a, it's a low profile reel. It's a different style. And it's much more comfortable. It's much lighter, but it will not last as long. There's no way that it'll last the same amount of time as those big bulky Swedish made Garcias. So I know there's going to be some purists out there that say, oh no, you've got to stick with the high-end stuff. You got to have a Benelli shotgun, or a Belgium-made Browning rifle, or a Swedish-made Garcia reel. And for the average guy, that's just not so. So I want to have a policy on this channel to just tell you my opinion, and if you feel the need to correct me, that's what the comment section's for. Go ahead. Maybe you can convince me otherwise, but until some company owner calls me up and says, hey, I'm going to send you some gear, I'm not going to be pushing any kind of gear on you, because right now I'm not a salesman. I'm just a retiree. But if you own a company and you want to send me some stuff, I'd be more than happy to field test it like they used to do back in the day. We had field testers that would test outdoor equipment. That's before we got all these celebrities, and sponsorships and advertisements. But I will say this, I have had some duds before, a few duds. But if something is very cheap and it's almost disposable, you can overlook that. If I go buy a small Zebco spin cast for my granddaughters and it breaks after a season, I'm not that disheartened, because it's not designed to last. It's not really gonna last, most likely. And so that's okay. Although I grew up fishing farm ponds for years with Zebco 33s, and they actually had metal parts and good bearings, and they would last a long time. People still have some of them today fishing with them. Let me say something about line. I've used all types of line. I grew up fishing with Stren. Then we started using a lot of Berkley. I've used a lot of Berkley. I can't say that I've had too many bad deals with line, but now you have to understand, most of the time I'm a mono guy. Occasionally I might have to put a leader or something different on, but I usually don't use braid, so I can't tell you about braid. And I know there's applications for braid and fluoro and all that, but I'm pretty much monofilament. I can tell you that I did buy a bunch of high-vis Mr. Crappie line on a sale. I've been very pleased with it. This is not a Mr. Crappie advertisement, but I am very pleased with it. It's been really good. I had some 4-pound, I like 4-pound for pan fishing, if you haven't figured that out yet. I had some 4-pound vicious fishing line I did not like at all. It seemed to me like it kinked up a lot really easily, and I don't know. I don't know the reason why. I haven't gotten that deep into it. I just know that it sort of left a bad taste in my mouth. But I don't think nowadays, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, I don't think brand loyalty is quite as necessary as maybe as it once was. You have great trail cameras made by multiple companies. You have great weapons made by multiple companies. You have great rod and reels made by multiple companies. And I can tell you for a fact, we all like the idea of made in the USA, but there's so many tricks involved. And I was in a manufacturing industry, and there's just so many tricks involved. They say assembled in the USA. They say made in the USA by parts from abroad, or they say, you'll have the parent company in the USA and the labor elsewhere. So there's a lot of tricks involved in that, and a lot of made in the USA stuff has gotten a bad reputation now. So I don't want to get on to some kind of American exceptionalism kick. I did one video about being blessed in the US, and I already had some whiners complain about that. So anyway, whatever. I will show you another product that I really like. This is a company, I think they're out of Florida, but this is a product called EvaDry, EVA-DRY. It's a little canister, and it has little pellets in it. And what it does is it takes your moisture, it takes all your moisture out of the air. And these pellets will turn green when it's wet on the inside, and when it's dry, they're orange. So what you do is you put it on this little machine, and you turn it on here. Let's see. And that little machine vacuums the moisture out of the canister and dries it out. So what it does, I put it in my gun safe, and it keeps all the humidity out of the gun safe. Works real well, and I really like it. Again, it's called EvaDry. That's EVA-DRY. So I can vouch for that one for sure. I can't really vouch for a particular ammo company. I've used several. I can't really tell you one reel that's got to be better than the other. I've got everything from old school Johnson reel to Garcia reels. I've got some Lew's rods and reels that I bought on clearance or on sale. That's the way I am. Like I said, I probably would have called my channel Cheapskate Outdoors if it wasn't taken already. But hopefully this will help some of you guys. Don't feel too stressed out about the name. You know, if you've had something that was just trash, hey, voice your opinion. Let people know about it. And if you've had something that was just stellar, then let people know about that too. But a lot of times it comes down to personal opinion. Yes, the little crappy rod I was using the other day that pulled in the catfish, yes, that was a good experience. But again, maybe if I had purchased a good one-piece rod from some of these other companies, I would have had the same result. I don't know. I do know that if I find something I really like, I will try to be loyal to it. But just remember this: times change, things change, and you know yourself that some of these companies just don't build what they used to. If you feel like you got burned, hey, this is the day and age you can spread the word pretty easily. And if you feel like something has been really, really good, you can sing the praises. I have a Mr. Twister fillet knife. I've had it for years and years. It is not state of the art. It is not the latest and greatest. It is probably not the best. Probably not. But so far, it hasn't let me down. And the replacement blades aren't outrageous. And I've got a little bitty file. I can sharpen the blades if I need to. You know, one little serration at a time. So, I don't know. I'm rambling a little bit, but I hope this helps somebody. You know, don't get caught up in the idea that you've got to have this, you know, $500 rod and reel combo to catch a bass. It just isn't so. It just isn't so. There are a lot of people, especially this time of year, that'll be sitting over there with a pole that's not much more than a cane pole, and they'll be pulling some big, fat panfish out of the rocks. So, you know, buyer beware, I guess you'd say. And look at it this way: the more money you save shopping is the more you can spend on gas to get to the lake, you know. So it is what it is. Enjoy yourselves. and give me a comment. If you know something that's good, let me know. I want it. But if you know something that I need to stay away from, let me know that too. And remember this, guys. I heard somebody a lot smarter than me say it. Most of the colors and all that stuff are designed to catch the fisherman and not the fish. There's a few basic colors everybody's going to need, of course. The greens, the browns, the blues, the blacks, the shad patterns, colors, and all. But some of the color combinations are just basically to get us to spend our money. So if you know something that's worked, that's been tried and true over the years, hey, share it with your fellow fishermen and your hunters. All right? Thanks for your time.